you in your head size up Floyd like, was, you know what I'm saying? If we was ever, keep it real, boy, keep it real.
I'm never that type of guy.
Hold me back.
Mayweather has sent warnings to Canelo Alvarez after he sparred Terence Crawford and worked with him in the gym.
Been happy for him, been a fan of his, and I never imagined us fight. I never looked at him like, man.
Actually, it was Terence Crawford and his team who invited Floyd Mayweather to their training camp in an effort to better prepare themselves for the challenge. On September 12th, the boxing legend was invited not just to spar Terence Crawford and watch him in other sparring and training sessions, he also put Crawford through and gave him tips that'll move him closer to victory. In September. In the footage that was released on social media, the pair were first seen standing and discussing by ringside as Crawford and his trainers paid full attention to Mayweather's comments. Next, the pair were seen in the boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather helping Crawford with details in his defense stances, positioning footwork and movements before they got into the ring to spar. While they sparred, Crawford had times where he was throwing his hands relentlessly as he worked in penetrating Mayweather's defense, which he did quite well afterwards. He stopped moving his hands as he fought on the back foot and attempted to defend Floyd's punches after their session together. Floyd Mayweather was asked what he thought of Crawford's training session. Crawford is a hell of a fighter. He's one of the greatest in his generation, and he reminds me of myself and some of my opponents. I like that he's hungry and he's trying to leave a great boxing legacy. Interview. He was also asked if he thought Crawford had what it takes to defeat Canelo Alvarez, a question he answered positively. I've always told y'all about Canelo. He's a great fighter, but he has weaknesses, whether it's Canelo at 23 or Canelo at 35. He has weaknesses, and Crawford's style is designed to exploit those weaknesses. You saw him in his last fight, and how average he looked, predicting his winner. He said Crawford for sure. Crawford's winning this. He has the tools and the secrets already.
In his absolute prime, and I take Manny Pacquiao in his absolute prime.
Floyd Mayweather.
Floyd still beats him.
Floyd beat everybody.
You don't believe there's a guy at 140, 147 in the history of boxing that could have beat Floyd in his prime?
It'd be tough. Floyd, man, that boy, man, that's the GOAT, man. That boy bad.
What makes it, I mean, what, because, and I told people, I said, look at Floyd. I said, Floyd, it's not that he trains, I mean, it's his life. And from the very beginning, he's like.
Crawford and Mayweather had actually generated so much buzz in line as fans hurried to comment on how great it was to see two boxing greats train together, as Crawford had a similar moment with Andre Ward. Just before his moments, Crawford and Floyd training together looks good. I'm proud Crawford is taking all the right steps, and I hope he wins on fight night. Canelo is definitely not ready for what Crawford is about to bring. A fan wrote a second, added, "That ring is suffering from too much greatness. I personally think Crawford would win if this was ever a reason to make this real." Another wrote, "Crawford needs to listen to Floyd to beat Canelo. He also needs to hear from Bivol. There's something those guys know that many don't. I feel it's their footwork and style, but Crawford just needs to make this work, really."
I was 36, and Canelo was 23, around the same age. Some of these guys won world titles and was undisputed champion. I think, the Tank age, the young low champions. Canelo was 23 with 43 fights and 30.
I like how the necessary fighters are giving Terence Crawford the support he needs. I just feel he'd get this done by decision big, thanks to Floyd Mayweather, fought Canelo in a World Boxing Council and World Boxing Association light middleweight title showdown. In September 2013, it was the 45th contest of the American's glittering career, coming up against the young Mexican who was facing his toughest challenge to date. It was seen as a tough test for Mayweather heading in, but it turned out to be a one-sided affair as the American claimed the victory on points, even if the scorecards had it much closer than most boxing fans dominated the fight throughout using his skills and expertise to outclass Canelo over 12 rounds to claim a majority decision victory.
And the world said he was inexperienced. I was 36 with 40-something fights. And to tell you the truth, I was over the hill. And so when I fight guys, when I'm in my 30s and they're in their 30s, you know what they say?
What's that?
Oh, this guy
Despite being the clear winner at the end of the contest, Judge C.J. Ross scored at 114, which baffled many of those in attendance, including Mayweather, speaking to Fight Hype. The 47-year-old did not hold back when talking about Canelo's boxing ability, initially summing up in 3 words how the fight went. He was nothing. Mayweather then explained further what he thinks of the Mexican's ability. You can take a guy like, Canelo, I'll tell the truth about Canelo, the idiot was easy. A cakewalk easy. You're all praising this dude, he was nothing. I was almost 40 and I cooked this dude easily.
Lloyd, what'd you think of Canelo's performance against Billy Joe Saunders?
I didn't even see it. What do you fight on the app? He said he fight on the app now, right?
Yeah.
Well, the real fighters fight on Showtime.
The more his legacy...
Mayweather retired just a few years later, but over a decade on, Canelo remains one of the biggest names in boxing, securing world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight, and even becoming undisputed in the 168 LB weight class after tasting defeat for the first time against Mayweather. Canelo went on to win his next 15 fights, winning world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, and light heavyweight. In the process, he now looks set to take part in another huge boxing clash, with a clash against fellow pound-for-pound great Crawford believed to be agreed for later in the year. Some observers believe the weight difference could be too much for Crawford, who would be jumping up from 154 lb to 168 lb, for the fight having only competed once in the super welterweight division.
Agree with that?
Oh, no, Canelo?
Right.
Oh, that's the easy one.
We're going to try and get...
You know, a lot of times guys be like, well, I'm bigger. I got a longer reach. I'm a better fighter.
Canelo being a naturally much bigger man than Crawford, many feel that it could result in a big knockout win for the Mexican, similar to when he took on a much smaller opponent in Amir Khan, who had also moved up 2 divisions for the fight. With that in mind, Mayweather gave his verdict on what he thought of Canelo's power following their fight, after he was asked if it concerned him heading into the bout. Not at all. He then said in the ring, "It was nothing he hadn't felt before. It's nothing I have never felt before after being in the sport for over 20 years. Interview 9. Mayweather's comments may give Crawford confidence, especially with Canelo, failing to stop his last 5 opponents. The 34-year-old from Guadalajara, Mexico, currently holds the Unified World Boxing Council, World Boxing Association, and World Boxing Organization titles at 168 lb, as he looks set to defend his crown against fellow pound-for-pound superstar Terence Bud Crawford later this year, in what could be one of the biggest fights in the long history of boxing, Canelo's only other career defeat came in 2022, when he was beaten comprehensively by the former WBA light.
It's really that they don't want, it's not that they don't want to see Tank win because they feel like it's beating me because I dominated the fight game for so long. But these same writers out here, they praise Canelo. He can pick and choose who he want to fight. And I'm going to tell you the truth.
In almost 12 long years since Canelo Alvarez suffered his first career defeat against the mighty Floyd Mayweather Jr. Canelo was just 23 years of age when he was given the chance to take on boxing's P4P megastar. Quite simply, the money and the opportunity was too good to turn down almost predictably, given his relative lack of seasoning at the very highest level. Alvarez came up short in that mega match at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Back in September 2013, interview 11 of the judges scored the bow to draw the other 2, gave it comfortably to Mayweather. Since then, Canelo has clearly thought often about that night and what might have been. It's clear he and many other keen observers believe the opportunity just came too soon for the Mexican great. Now Alvarez is boxing's PPV cash cow at the age of 34 and ready for more massive challenges after signing that landmark 4-fight deal with Turki Alalshik and Riyadh season. The first fight on that contract is a super middleweight title unification against Cuban William Skull in Riyadh on...
Mayweather or Bivol, and why? I think both are similar. Just B-ball is bigger, so I think B-ball.
Many is just a tune-up for the big one, an absolute blockbuster against welterweight and super welter. King Terrence Bud Crawford Canelo versus Crawford would see Bud moving up 2 more weights for the biggest fight of his career. And it is, without doubt, the biggest fight boxing could make right now. It's penciled in for September, assuming Alvarez takes care of business on May 3rd. The man from Guadalajara admitted in an interview with Mike Coher of Ring Magazine that he believes that night against Mayweather would have been very different right now. He believes he is a different Canelo, and a showdown with Crawford, who has a style similar to Floyd Jr.
Canelo did what he had to do to get the victory.
What do you want next? It seems like that's going to be the fight. Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the biggest fight in boxing.
Well, Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the best fighter for Terrence Crawford out there. He's the biggest fight for Terrence Crawford out there. So that's why Terrence Crawford want to take the opportunity to share a ring with another great.
How do you beat him?
Alvarez responded to show people I'm different. Now that I'm an experienced fighter today, I always think that I just needed more years before the fight with Mayweather, but things happen, and I learned a lot, and I don't blame myself because I learned a lot. But yes, it's the opportunity to show what kind of a fighter I am. Right now, Interview 14 showdown between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez continues to ignite excitement and debate within the boxing community. Even more, boxing professionals are giving their contributions. Crawford, celebrated for his versatility and technical prowess, is aiming to move up 2 weight classes to challenge the undisputed super middleweight champion, a daring leap that has...
Everyone's talking about the weight differences. What's your kind of response to that, Terrence?
That's why we fight the fight. So September 12th, we all going to see if the weight going to make a difference or not.
Do you want to fight him twice and then retire? Is that kind of the ideal thing?
One fight at a time, one fight at a time.
What did you make of, I know you didn't say much on tonight, the effectiveness of William Score? He came to decision as opposed to win the fight.
Is former heavyweight world champion Deontay Wilder in a recent interview with ES News. Wilder shared his concerns about Crawford's significant weight jump, 147 to 168, that's way too much, Wilder stated, although you can switch from southpaw to orthodox. When you're touching those guys that are heavier, it's a different feeling. It's like you're a baby. I'm not saying you can't knock anyone out or punish them, but I think it takes more time. Moving up in weight, the way punches are absorbed is entirely different than with smaller opponents. Since Wilder's remarks, Crawford has taken a step forward in closing the...
Canelo's a hell of a fighter. There's a lot of great Mexican fighters. That's not for me to rate fighters. I just take my hat off to so many fighters that paved the way, for me to be where I'm at, just, throughout life. Canelo's a hell of a fighter.
This achievement, a daunting 14 lb difference, remains between him and Canelo Alvarez, a disparity that could play a crucial role in the fight's outcome. Canelo, known for his relentless punching power and stamina, has established himself as a dominant force in the super middleweight division, despite suffering 2 career defeats, both by decision. He has consistently showcased remarkable defense and resilience, solidifying his reputation as one of the toughest competitors in boxing. This matchup promises to deliver an electrifying spectacle, but it also represents a monumental challenge.
What was that like?
I trained so hard, and now obviously I try to beat him because, if you beat him, you want to be the best in the world at 23.
What do you think was so impressive about him?
His experience, he's so smart. He have everything in a fighter, a complete fighter. He don't have power in the punches, but when you that kind of fighter, you don't need it.
You think that was the toughest fight you faced?
No.
What do you think?
I think he's tough.